everybody, and welcome back to my channel. Today we've got an interesting one for you. I hope you enjoyed that intro scene in the beginning. Today we are looking at the 3 different kinds of electric skateboards you can buy and which one might be the best for you. It is a sunny afternoon in good old Shanghai, holding on to those last few days of summer. Winter's coming and it's going to be terribly cold skating around, doing reviews, but we're just going to have to deal with that when we get there. To start off, firstly, how do you look at boards? Because every board is a bit different, but I've sort of managed to break it down into 3 different boards and 4 different criteria that you can rate each board on to sort of which one may meet your preference based on what you like or need to do. The 4 different kinds of boards are your standard long boards, then you get your all-terrain boards, and then you get your short boards. Each one having its own sort of thing that it's better at or sort of made or designed to do. For these tests and explanations, I have put aside all of the variables that sort of define electric skateboards in their might, those being different brakes, different ECUs, different remotes. All of these things are put aside and we're just looking at 4 different criteria. Those 4 different criteria are comfort, stability, portability, and satisfaction. That being, how much fun is the board to ride? The first board we're going to be looking at is your standard longboard style. This was probably made famous by Casey Neistat in his boosted board that he used to use in most of his videos. Those boards are fairly comfortable to ride depending on the flexibility of the deck. Usually the rubber of the wheels is pretty hard, so it's not the most comfortable board to ride in the world. The portability is okay. The board is fairly easy to wheel around most of the time depending on the configuration of the trucks. You can usually lean it up on stuff if you're using it on public transport, which does make it okay, but sometimes they can be a bit heavy, and depending on the trucks, they're a little bit difficult to wheel around. Stability, the boards are designed for carving and usually a bit more fun. So the stability of the boards can be a little bit questionable. Some are better designed for high speed, some are better designed for carving, but I give it about a so-so on the stability scale. These boards are by far the strongest as far as satisfaction is concerned. I do find these boards the most fun to ride, especially because they're a lot easier to carve, but they do sort of seem to lose out on the comfort and stability scale because of these things, which makes them not really good at doing long distance, but definitely the most satisfying. The second board you're going to want to consider is the AT boards, or the all-terrain boards. These are boards that are supposed to be sort of your SUV vibes. They're supposed to be good at doing off-road and on-road. But let's be frank, if I'm honest with you, I've never taken an off-road board, like properly off-road, and gone, I had fun doing that. The thing that I find they're better at is usually it hits bumps a lot better and they're a bit safer on the road. So to start off, the comfort of these boards is great. Because of the thickness of the tires, they usually absorb a lot of the road bumps and stuff like that better than a flexi deck would, which means you are able to go a lot further with these boards because there's a lot less vibration in your feet. You don't feel the bumps as much because it's absorbed into the big cushy tires. The boards are usually very stable at your average to low speeds. At higher speeds, especially the ones with the double kingpin trucks, are not very stable. I do find that I do get speed wobbles on AT boards at higher speeds, and I don't find they do very well at higher speeds, especially because you're higher off the ground. I do feel it's a little bit more difficult at higher speeds, but low to average speeds, I do find they are perfect. The portability of these boards, they are really not portable at all. They've got these really big, thick, heavy decks, and the trucks are really not that nice to wheel around. And some of them, the trucks are so far forward that it actually won't stand up on something. I actually had one board that I could turn on its back and the wheels were so big that the deck wouldn't touch the ground. It is the least portable board, and it's not that comfortable if you're sort of wheeling it around a lot. I would prefer it if I could just pick it up, throw it in my car, drive it somewhere and ride it around for fun. but it's something to wheel around and take on public transport. If you're going up a lot of stairs and stuff, it is a horror to transport this thing around. The satisfaction of these boards, they are really comfortable to ride around. That is the satisfying part. They are terrible to carve, and I don't find off-roading very fun, so I'm going to give it a 0 out of 10 on that front. But if you are doing a commute to work on one of these boards, and you don't have a lot of stairs to deal with, and you don't have to wheel it around a lot, and you're not hopping on and off public transport, I would say that all-terrain boards are pretty fun if you're just exploring and riding around. And last but not least, the short e-skates. I have one of those, and it's probably the board that I bought, it's probably the board that I've owned and used the most. I am not a fan and not very satisfied with my purchase, and I'll get into that now. So to start off, the comfort of a short e-skate is not great, and that's because they're usually got very thick decks, because you still want the same battery life, and you still, you're going to use it for transport. They need to make the decks a little bit thicker so that they don't snap. So the decks are very hard. On top of that, just because you've got to stand with your feet so close together, it's a bit difficult to ride around comfortably. I do not find that they are the best boards in the world as far as comfort's concerned. They're very hard and they are very rough on your feet. The stability of the board is not great either. Because you've got to stand with your feet so close together, it makes it very difficult to balance on the board. It also makes it very difficult to carve, and when you're turning corners, your feet are also close together. And as far as safety is concerned, it's very difficult to brake, because if you do need to jump on the brakes quickly, it's really hard on your legs. You've got to get that correct stability so that you don't go flying off the board every time you need to brake or accelerate. The portability of the board is the only front that this thing wins on. Because it's a little bit shorter, it's easier to throw in a cupboard, it's easier to pick up when you're walking up a flight of stairs. Mine's got a handle on it, which makes it great. If you're getting on public transport a lot, or you need to walk up a lot of stairs, or you need to lean it on something on the bus or an elevator, this is the only place that this thing shines. It's only good for like short range transport because of how thick it is. So I'd get it if you're getting off a bus or something. The satisfaction, these boards are not very fun to ride. Because they are so uncomfortable and the stability's bad, you're not going to ride it for very long distances, and you are not going to carve a lot on it because you stand with your feet so close together. You can't really get good digs in when you're busy carving left and right. And it does tend to have scary speed wobbles at higher speeds, and because your feet are so close together, you don't have that same stability and satisfaction that you get out of a longer, wider board. As far as these boards concerned, I would definitely not say that there is a best or worst type of board. I feel you got to look at them based on your situation, what you're using them for, or look at what you'd want to get out of one. But when I first started buying, I feel that I would have purchased a different board if I had known the information that I know about all the e-skates that are available today. Which board should you get and why? The standard longboard scenario, they're great for carving, and they are more satisfactory for medium to long runs where you're doing minor off and on public transport. So if you want to go and do a lot of carving, have a lot of leisurely fun, go for weekend rides on your friends, and then you maybe need to hop on and off a bus or a train every now and then, those are great. They're kind of comfortable, they're so-so on stability, their portability is also so-so, but their satisfaction is very high. The all-terrain boards, they are an absolute menace on public transport. They are terrible as far as portability is concerned, but their stability and satisfaction is also pretty good. Their comfort is also quite high. So if you're not using public transport a lot and you're using it maybe as transport to get from point A to point B, or you sort of want to use it for something for weekend runs with your friends to sort of ride around and do a bit of exploring, I think they are great. They are so comfortable, they're really nice to ride. They're just really, really terrible if you got to wheel them around. The short board. This board is the least comfortable to ride, the least stable, the most portable, and the least satisfactory. These boards are best if you've got a small amount of space and you like riding for short distances. They're not very comfortable. They're sort of heavy and they're really hard on your feet. I wouldn't recommend buying one because of all of these situations. I would preferably rather suffer through having to wheel around a longer board than the satisfaction that this board gives you. So the only reason I'd really say you need this board is if you're really tight on space and you need to store it in a tiny cupboard, or if you're climbing a lot of stairs every day and you're using this thing for transport. Otherwise, I see no good reason to get one of these boards. They really don't provide that much satisfaction and they're really not safe. It's not worth it. Yeah guys, that's today's video. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please like and subscribe and do all of the things and tell me what you think. If you've had good experience on short boards, bad experience on all-terrain boards, maybe you think these short boards are the best. Maybe you think the long boards are best. Drop it down in the comment section below. Folks, thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time. And if you're stuck in a rut, try something new, fix something old, change something up. Cheers, bye.